Imagine seeing scammer after scammer come and go in the money space for the last 21 years. That has been my life and I love it. I know some of you love picking scabs on your arm. I love seeing scammers come and then vanish. Now we need to talk about why so many of you are following these scammers. Is it the rented Lamborghini? Is it the 2-day Airbnb penthouse that they rented? Or is it the idea that this time it's different? This is the real strategy that's gonna make me rich. We gotta stop it. We gotta know how to look for scammers. And in fact, I'm gonna walk you through 7 simple red flags that are gonna show you what to look out for before it costs you tons of money. Let's start with the easiest one to spot. Red flag number 1, they make money more complicated than it actually is. If you wanna stop bad financial advice fast, just listen to how it's explained. Look at my ears. See the size of those gargantuan ears? They actually grew in my adult life because I had to listen to so many scammers. Look at that, it's not even human. Fake money people love making money sound complicated. And sometimes they use confusing jargon, tax loss harvesting, leveraging arbitrage opportunities, asset-backed tokenization. Listen up, America. If you have $22,000 in credit card debt, you don't need to be arbitraging anything, okay? Other times it's conspiracy theories. This is the secret they don't want you to know. The banks are hiding this from you, and Wall Street doesn't want regular people to discover this loophole. What the hell are you guys talking about? How come you don't talk about how the National Association of Realtors is actually hiding their racism from you? No, you don't talk about that, or Wells Fargo for that matter. No, it's all about they're hiding this strategy that only the ultra wealthy have access to. If I said the Olympians are hiding their training from you, you'd be like, I don't really think they're hiding it. I just think they're in way better shape than I do and they train at a different level. They're not hiding anything, and neither are the ultra wealthy. They don't need you to do what they do. The ultra wealthy have billions. The people trying to copy them ate a blooming onion at Chili's. The way this works is once you are overwhelmed, but you start hearing these keywords like tax-free, then their solution looks irresistible. After spending 10 minutes explaining the secret loopholes that the elites are hiding from you while wearing an Under Armour shirt and shorts in a Phoenix suburb, writing on a whiteboard, at the end they say, don't worry, I've simplified all of this into my special system. And then once you're confused enough, anything they throw you feels like a lifeline. I need tax-free income. Am I the only sucker who's not getting tax-free income? The funny thing is, if you talk to people who are actually wealthy, they often will fight to keep things simple. Take what Warren Buffett has said. Here's his investment advice. Quote, a low-cost index fund is the most sensible equity investment for the great majority of investors, including me. So that's it. Simple advice you could implement tomorrow in plain English, and that's from one of the greatest investors of all time. Let me pause you right there because I know what you're about to say. Well, Warren Buffett actually doesn't invest in index funds at all. He's doing all kinds of stuff with the insurance fund. Warren Buffett has billions and billions of dollars. You got to stop trying to copy what people who have billions of dollars do. They are doing completely different strategies, and rightfully so. Most people, the vast majority of people, even millionaires, need to fight for simplicity. People who truly understand money can explain it very clearly because they actually know what they're talking about. And they're actually happy to show you the entire picture, where they have made mistakes, where they have done really well over the course of decades. I recently had an interaction on Twitter where a financial advisor made the argument that he can beat the S&P 500, the market, over the long term. Not only beat it, because it tends to get about 10%. He said, oh yeah, it's not too difficult to get 20%. I said, fantastic, let's make a bet, $250,000. I'm ready to put the money in escrow. Oh, suddenly he backed down. Now, if you could get 20% average annual returns, you would take any amount of bet. He should have come back and say, I'll only bet you if you put $1 million down. I would have said, here it is, go ahead. Because I know that he cannot beat the market over the long term. Almost nobody can. But of course, he won't make that bet. Because deep down, he knows, as many of these folks using cherry-picked examples know, they are using one moment in time, but what really matters is what happens over 5 years, 20 years, 50 years. Here's a simple test. Look at how these folks talk about their money-making strategies. Can they explain them simply, clearly, in 1 or 2 sentences? I can. Can they? Can you? If they can't pass that simple test, that probably tells you everything you need to. Because if something sounds complicated, especially in money, and the only fix is to buy my service, that's probably a red flag. This is where a lot of people quietly get stuck with money. It's not that they're bad with money. It's that they are making big decisions without a clear plan, like buying a house or changing jobs, having kids, investing, or even spending on a vacation. A lot of people are just guessing and hoping it all works out. This is where Facet, the sponsor of this video, can help. Facet offers real financial planning with a dedicated CFP professional who helps you see the full picture, not just one account or one decision, but how everything fits together. This vacation, how will it affect your retirement? If you want to pay for your kids' college education, what do you need to be doing right now? Their planners are fiduciaries, meaning they are legally required to put your interests first. And this is a big one for me. Instead of charging a percentage of your assets, that 1% fee that quietly eats away at tons of money, Facet charges a flat membership fee for financial planning. I've worked with Facet to help many couples on my podcast understand what is possible for their future, like whether they can retire earlier than expected, whether they can pay for their kids' college, or whether they can simply get a clear vision of how much they are going to have. Many of you have signed up with Facet. Here's what some of you had to say about your experience with them. Lots of people can manage their money on their own, but if you have a large portfolio, a particularly complex situation, or you want individual guidance for your unique situation, go to facet.com/Ramit or click the link in the description below. That is facet.com/Ramit. All right, now that you know what real, boring, grown-up wealth actually looks like, the next red flag is going to be painfully obvious. Red flag number 2, they are desperate to look rich and successful. A major tell of the fake rich is how desperate they are to show off their riches. And you've seen this on Instagram. Some guy standing next to a Lamborghini, some expensive watch on their wrist with the highly saturated colors, or posting photos from what looks like the top floor of a luxury penthouse, but is actually just a mid-tier restaurant in Brooklyn. Now, the goal is not really to teach you anything. The goal is to impress you. And I have to admit, when people post this, in the comments, you can see that it actually works. This drives me crazy. Luxury cars and houses and watches. People go, oh my God, send me. Or they'll leave a comment that gets them some DM. Asset. I need assets. I got to take you behind the scenes of what's going on here. First of all, there are entire companies that specialize in renting Lamborghinis by the hour. You can rent a mansion in the Hollywood Hills for less than $500. You can even rent the interior of an airplane to take pictures in, a private plane. I'm going to tell you something. I know a lot of wealthy people, and they don't routinely post photos of themselves on fancy boats. Once in a while, they're on one with their family or friends for vacation. They might post a photo here or there, but it's not that highly saturated, look at me, I'm so rich type of photo that you so often see on these Instagram accounts. Because the truth is, when you're actually wealthy, you don't need to prove it to strangers on the internet. You didn't see me flexing the 2005 Honda Accord I had for 19 years, but that is the actual car that I owned, even when my net worth dramatically increased. Now, of course, it's totally fine if a car is your thing and you choose to spend your money on it, and maybe you want to take a picture with it here or there. Fine. But what you will notice is that these fake financial advice givers, they spend on what looks good for Instagram because the Instagram post is their business. My wife and I have joked about how you don't meet a lot of financial scammers in Manhattan because you actually need to make a lot of money to make it here. You're not going to fake paying $4,500 in rent every single month for a 1-bedroom, but you'll often find them in lower cost of living areas like in parts of Florida. They're rampant there. Why? It all really starts to make sense. And it's not just the fake wealth that they are flaunting. They're often faking their credentials. So here's how you will spot them. First, be skeptical of anyone who's constantly flaunting wealth. A lot of what you see online is staged or rented. More importantly, is that the kind of person that you want to learn from? Second, look out for fake credentials. If you see clips from podcasts or talks, just Google it. Look it up and see who else has been on that show. Also, if nothing shows up, that might be a red flag. If they're claiming to be featured in Forbes or Entrepreneur, dig a little bit deeper. A lot of magazines that used to have prominence now allow pay to play, and basically anyone can get covered in them. Don't let fake wealth and fake credentials fool you. I don't want you to get distracted from actual good advice. Red flag number 3, they don't make money from what they teach. When people pose as successful business owners, they will promise you to teach their industry secrets, day trading strategies, and real estate systems, and their crypto investments. But when you actually look at what they do all day, a lot of times they are just filming content. They're chasing sponsorships. They're building their personal brand. And the only record of their actual profession is a few random revenue screenshots and references to some vague business that they run. These people are everywhere online. But when it comes to real expertise, it's actually surprisingly hard to find. Let me give you an actual example. I know real estate investors who own hundreds of properties. Do you know how they spend their time? They manage the properties. They source tenants. They're running numbers on deals. They are very, very, very unlikely to be spending 8 hours a day making TikToks about real estate strategy. A huge clue that you are listening to a scammer is when they talk about how the only way to be successful is to start a business, and everyone else is just a poor bastard who worked for somebody else making them rich. Just think about this for a second. If this person was actually successful, they would very likely have employees. What kind of message would you be sending your employees who work a 9-to-5 job that they're losers who can't make it, and so therefore they need to go start their own business? I have people who have worked for me, some of whom worked for me for 10 plus years. I would never say that you are a loser if you work for somebody else. In fact, the majority of people who become wealthy are employees. So it is important that you really look beneath the surface. Sure, I think some people should start a business, and I think that it can add a lot of money and richness to your life. But if you choose to simply work a 9-to-5 job, doing something bigger than you could do alone, that's also amazing. And that explains why I am lucky enough to have such an amazing team helping me show you how to live a rich life. Another clue to somebody who's a scammer is that they jump from one thing to another. 5 years ago, it was Airbnbs. Then it was crypto. Then it was this and that. People who are building serious businesses do not jump around from idea to idea every 2 years. So when you come across these people online, you got to ask yourself, what percentage of their income comes from the subject they teach? If somebody teaches day trading, well, first of all, just close the window because there's no reason to learn from anybody doing day trading. They're all going to lose. But can you find evidence that they are actually trading? No. Or is all their income from sponsorships, brand deals, affiliate commissions, and membership? Yes. Look at what they actually post about in their day-to-day. If you can't find evidence of them doing the thing they teach, that tells you everything. And just as a final example here, I invest my money primarily in Vanguard low-cost index funds. Please remember, you want to find somebody who is following the very advice that they give. So no more rented Lamborghinis, no more get-rich-quick schemes, no more confusing jargon that makes you feel stupid. If you are tired of chasing the get-rich-quick advice, if you want actual, practical, straightforward guidance that actually works, let me suggest an alternative approach. It's not going to make you $1 million tomorrow, but over the course of your life, you will become very wealthy. My money coaching program walks you through setting up your entire financial system step by step. You'll join a community of people who are done chasing shortcuts, and they are building actual wealth, the slow, boring, proven way that works over decades. Notice I am not talking about gimmicks. I'm talking about common strategies that actually work. Low cost, long-term investing. In money coaching, you'll get monthly live calls with me where I will answer your questions about investing, debt, and spending. No hype, just what you need to know. And you will have a plan that you can actually follow. So you can ignore the conspiratorial side hustles and focus on living your rich life guilt-free. If you are ready for real guidance, scan the QR code or click the link below to join Money Coaching today. Let me help you build your rich life system the right way. All right, let's move on to red flag number 4. They sell motivation, not methods. How come so much business advice is only focused on just mindset? Wake up at 5 a.m., write a journal full of gratitude, take cold showers, and then manifest. And after 2 hours and 30 minutes, you have no idea what they actually do for a living. You know, they say things like success starts with your morning routine. Okay, maybe, but what's your actual business model? How do you make money? How can you specifically help me instead of saying things that I could have learned when I was 6 years old taking a nap next to the other first graders? That's usually where things get very quiet. In fact, I've learned this in the personal finance world. So there is a very technical side of personal finance. We're talking about asset allocation, taxes, investing based on goals. But you will notice that a lot of folks who are talking about money these days, they have abstracted themselves out of the technical, and they will simply talk about money motivation, money psychology. It's all about abundance. If you were a fruit, what fruit would you be as it relates to money? I'm like, tell me a number. I want to know that you actually know this material technically. You think I want to go learn how to build a skyscraper for some construction manager? And I say, hey, how do I build that skyscraper? He goes, tell me what type of fruit this building will be. I'm like, no, thank you, sir. I don't want this building to collapse and then me to be legally liable. So will you please just tell me some numbers? You know, it's easy to talk about mindset, but it's really hard to teach specific skills, especially technical ones. So when the actual wealthy talk about their business and their life, they get specific. We acquire customers at $50 each. We retain 60% in the first 6 months. Our churn rate is unacceptable. Here's what we're doing to drive retention. They are this specific because this is where they live and breathe. They know what it takes. You all need to stop focusing on people who just talk about morning routines, because those people usually have no technical skills or qualifications whatsoever. Anybody can talk about waking up with the sun. Talk about your churn rate. That's who I want to learn from when it comes to business. So use this as your guideline. Can they clearly describe their business model like this? I help small businesses with their bookkeeping. I charge $500 a month per client, and I have 40 clients. I run a marketing agency. We do Facebook ads for e-commerce brands. We take 15% of ad spend. Or I invest in index funds. I put $2,000 a month into low-cost index funds, and I let it compound for a term of decades. If somebody can't give you that level of clarity, consider it a warning, and you may want to spend your time and money somewhere else. Red flag number 5, they promise easy money with no skills required. Just find products on AliExpress, mark them up, and sell them online. I love drop shipping. No one's ever going to compete with that. You know what you need to do? You need to buy one house, make it 2, make it 10, because one pays for another, and then sublet them on Airbnb. Or just start affiliate marketing. You post links and you collect those free commissions while you sleep. In all of these examples, the opportunities just happen to be passive, autopilot, making money while you sleep. Notice how careful they are to emphasize how little work you need to put in and how much money will fall out of the sky. Just sign up, follow their simple system, and the money starts coming. I remember I once went to a marketing conference, first and last time I ever went to this conference. The first person introduced himself. He goes, I make $350,000 a year, and I only work 15 hours a week. The next person goes, I make $450,000 a year. I work 12 hours a week. And next year, I'm trying to get it down to 10. I was like, get me out of here. I don't like people who talk about how little you have to work and how much money you get to make. I actually like to work. And that's why sometimes if you compare what I talk about versus somebody who says, just pick this random investment, crypto, and then you make $1 billion, no work. Think about that. You desperately want to believe that there is some magical investment out there that will allow you to have zero work, zero effort, and then make money. Not only do people lie to us, but we want to believe the lies. The models that these people talk about are usually overcrowded and competitive, like drop shipping. Years ago, you could find a product on AliExpress, throw up a Shopify store, and make money. The market was not that saturated, but today you're competing against tens of thousands, millions of other people who took the exact same strategy. They have cheaper cost of living than you. They can spend more time online, and they're doing it to the exact same audience. Actual wealthy people know that real business requires time, skill, money, and building some type of moat. You want to make 6 figures doing consulting? You could probably do it, but it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. You might have to work on the weekends for a little while. Every single path to real wealth requires work. So here's my rule. If somebody promises results with zero effort or close to it, run. Instead, find a skill that people will pay for, get really good at it, and then monetize it. That is how you make real money. Not by reselling cheap products for drop shipping, not by Airbnb arbitrage, but by becoming valuable. Maybe you're great at personal organizing. Charge $150 as a professional organizer. Maybe you're a skilled writer, offer copywriting services at $150 an hour. These are not sexy, but they work because you are providing real value based on real skill. Red flag number 6, they brag about tax write-offs. Hey, did you know you can start an LLC and write everything off? It's like a second grader who ran a lemonade stand and suddenly gets on a webinar lecturing Fortune 100 CEOs about how they should do tax depreciation. Well, stop talking. Go back to school. Hey, everybody, car payment. That's a business expense. Or you can have a home office and write everything. No, you can't. These are usually framed as some secret tax loophole that the IRS doesn't want you to know about. First of all, the IRS wants you to know. They literally have tens of thousands of pages of documentation. Read it. But let me be clear about how tax deductions actually work from someone who actually runs a real business and has real accounting experts who work for me. The IRS has very specific rules about what qualifies as a business deduction, and they are not stupid. For example, this sweater that I'm wearing, this was pretty expensive. I can't write this off. It doesn't matter that I use it for business in a business video. I cannot write this off. All of the clothes I wore on Netflix, cannot write those off. You can't just write off vacations or cars or random lifestyle costs because you have an LLC. What the hell? Real business owners want to learn how tax treatments work. That's why they have accountants who advise them, and they pay what they owe. They spend little to no energy looking for loopholes. They might recommend, hey, we recommend you purchase this before the end of the year, or because you did this R&D, you might get this special treatment. But in general, they are not obsessing about tax treatments. And I can tell you something, real business owners do not brag about tax strategies online. It's just part of living. Guys, following this type of advice can sometimes get people into a lot of trouble. In fact, let me just share my own philosophy. I am happy to pay my taxes. On a scale of 1 to Al Capone, I'm like a 2. I told my accountant that literally. I said, I don't want to take any unnecessary risks. I prefer to be super conservative, in part because I know that my taxes support the infrastructure that lets my business exist in the first place. And candidly, a guy like me making an extra $20,000 in tax deductions or even $100,000 in tax credits, it is not going to affect my lifestyle more than me simply doing what I love and growing my business methodically. That tax money that I pay goes to the roads that I drive on, the education system that some of my critics need to avail themselves of, the legal system that enforces business contracts. All that is funded by the taxes I pay. And honestly, if you make enough that your taxes are a significant concern, congratulations, that's a good problem to have, because every year when I write a fat tax bill, it actually happens automatically every quarter, I'm happy because that means my business was successful. To build actual wealth, I suggest you focus on the big wins. Start early, invest consistently. If possible, max out your tax advantage accounts. Consider focusing on building up the skill of earning more. Put more money in your taxable account. Legitimate strategies like these will save you way more than trying to write off your Hawaiian vacation. So yes, if you have a business or you have a high income or a complex situation, work with a real accountant. Use those legitimate tax strategies. But the idea that you're going to get rich by writing off your lifestyle is a fantasy. Before we move on to one of the most dangerous lies that you will spot with these fake advice givers, I want to ask you something. If this video is helping you spot the red flags that you have been noticing, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And I am curious in the comments below, what is one surprise that you have learned so far? Just leave it in the comments below. I read every single one. Red flag number 7, they make you the product. You know, think of an opportunity that you see online like this. You buy a $500 starter pack of products from the company before you can sell them. You pay a $99 monthly fee to stay active. You're required to purchase a certain amount of inventory to qualify for commissions. Does any of this sound familiar? In other words, you have to pay upfront for the privilege to get started working on your new business. And then if you question it, they say, you just need to invest in yourself and you need to think more positively. What the hell? Red flag. In a normal business, you make money by selling to customers. But in these models, the company makes money by selling to you. Their business makes money whether or not you ever sell a single product to an actual customer, and they are passing on essentially all of the risk to you. You're the one buying the starter kit. You're the one paying the monthly fees. You're the one purchasing inventory. And because recruiting new participants creates guaranteed revenue, the pressure quickly shifts from selling products to signing people up. Once you see this, the structure becomes obvious. The business is built around new signups, not customer demand. So here's the rule to remember. Avoid multi-level marketing. It's really simple. If you want more actual honest advice that will truly help you become financially free for life, I recommend you watch this video next for the breakdown of the systems that the rich actually use.